Hi everyone, this is our very first episode of The Poor Person's Guide to Eating Well. I am a certified poor person. This is my house. This is really my house. See, there's a little bit of my clutter and mess that we're going to conveniently take out of the frame. And I've been asked by people before to share my tips and tricks for eating well on a budget, and I decided to put them in video form for everybody to share. So we're going to start off with a classic dish called the Quiche Lorraine. Now, a Quiche Lorraine looks beautiful, it tastes delicious, and this particular recipe costs less than $5 to make. So, and it freezes well. It's great to serve people company and whatnot, and it is high in protein, nutritious, and just all around wonderful. So we're going to start off with my par-baked pie shell, which, as you can see, I'm going to scan in there a little bit, is imperfect and dimpled, because I don't roll out my dough. I press it into the pie pan because it's just easier to do that, and I don't want to have flour all over my kitchen. And it doesn't need to be perfect because the eggs and the filling are going to cover up that dimpled part anyway. You par bake it so that it stands up to the fillings and the egg and the cheese and everything like that. So, but you see, I kind of tried to flute the edges a little bit, and it didn't quite work out as well. But the quiche still turns out looking gorgeous regardless. So don't worry about rolling out your dough. You can press it into the pan, and you can save yourself from throwing flour all around your kitchen, especially if you have a family, if you're short for time, right? And the other thing that it does is that it doesn't overwork the dough, so, which is a plus because that means that your crust will be flakier. Next thing we have is a cup of caramelized onions, which is about like one onion, and that's a cup raw, and then they get rendered down. Now, I've done these in bulk, and I will give a tutorial on how to do both the pie crust and the onions, and I freeze them and then take them out as needed. This is about 4 pieces of very crispy bacon, and I did these in the morning at breakfast time. I served the juicier pieces of bacon, and I reserved the crispier pieces of bacon for the Quiche Lorraine, because they're not really good for breakfasting, and they work really well in the quiche. And if you noticed, I broke them up by hand. I didn't chop them because bacon can be a little bit sinewy and hard to chop, and it's just easier to break it up with your hands. Right here is about a cup of Gruyere cheese. I mixed Gruyere and Swiss to save a little bit of money. So, but even if you use Gruyere cheese, altogether that cup of cheese turns out to be about $1. So I've got a pinch of nutmeg and a pinch of dill. Traditionally, Quiche Lorraine has white pepper in it, but I'm not a huge fan of white pepper, so I always substitute out with dill. And always use nutmeg in your quiches. It gives it that kind of je ne sais quoi kind of flavor. It doesn't make it taste like a dessert. It's not sweet. It just kind of gives that like umami flavor to your quiches. So don't forget the nutmeg. And there's a cup of half and half and 4 eggs. And because I can't whisk eggs and hold the camera at the same time, I'm going to be right back and whisk these eggs up, and I'll show you how to put together this quiche. Okay, so here are my eggs all whisked up and beautiful, and notice I just used a regular old fork for that, and I'm going to put the dill and the nutmeg into the egg mixture. Now, some people make the mistake of, and notice the dill's kind of balling up there. Don't even worry about that. Some people make the mistake of putting all of the ingredients in the egg mixture, and that's wrong. That's not how you put together a traditional quiche, and it actually doesn't taste as good. It doesn't look as beautiful if you mix all of the ingredients into the eggs right there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put all of these ingredients into the pie shell. So I only have one hand, so I'm going to be kind of makeshifting it here to try and get everything into the pie pan here. So, and we're going to spread these around all over the bottom of the pie dish. It is not imperative that, you know, everything is perfect. So please, please, please don't worry that things aren't perfect. It's not going to be perfect because, I mean, it really doesn't matter that it is. So, okay. So now we have the onions and the bacon into the pan, and then the next thing we're going to take is this lovely, lovely cheese, and we're just going to dump it just like that into the pie pan and spread around all of that lovely, lovely cheese, and then we give this another little whisk. Make sure that everything is incorporated, and take this beautiful mixture and dump it over, and that is it. That's it. And then you put it in a 375 degree oven. As you can see, I've been preheating. Okay, this is our beautiful baked quiche. It's cooled a little bit, so you can see that it's settled a little bit in the crust. And as you can see, you can't tell at all that the crust was pressed into the pan rather than rolled out, and the fluting actually even looks kind of cute. So it's you can't tell at all. So, and this is our less than $5 quiche, and I'm going to attempt, let's see if I can do this, to also film and cut at the same time. And I'm just going to, I cleaned off the counter. I'm just going to put the piece of quiche on the counter because I forgot to take a plate out, but this is kind of how we roll in this house anyway. So the first piece is always a little bit strange, so let's see how this, see, look, you can see the beautiful layers of filling, and I am going to actually turn this off and pull this piece of pie out so that I don't mangle it. Now that you have seen that very, very accurate recreation of me eating that first slice of quiche, here is the monetary breakdown of this recipe. Okay, so the filling, 4 eggs at 12 cents total. Now, that's not a mistake. I bought the eggs at Aldi's. Aldi's generally sells their eggs at 47 cents a dozen.
So the breakdown of that is roughly about 12 cents for 4 eggs. If you shop at the dollar store, you might get your eggs for 99 cents a dozen. So I did a different breakdown for that right next to it. Sometimes the dollar store has 6 eggs for $1. That's not necessarily always a bargain, but we'll talk about that in another video. So the breakdown is 47 cents a dozen, which is the general Aldi price. And then also the Dollar Tree price, which is 99 cents a dozen if they're selling a full dozen eggs. 1 cup of half and half at 70 cents. A pinch of nutmeg at 5 cents and a pinch of white pepper or dill at 5 cents. So the reason why I made the calculation 5 cents is because I generally get these spices in the 99-cent rack at either the Dollar Tree or Walmart, and I wanted to round up a little bit just to be on the safe side. Maybe you wanted to use a little bit more, but it's probably less than 5 cents worth of herbs. But like I said, I wanted to gauge up rather than gauge down. 4 slices of bacon, $1, and that's in a 289 container of bacon, and that usually runs about maybe 12 slices of bacon, and I took 4 of those 12 slices. 1 cup of Gruyere and Swiss cheese at $1. So I bought the already grated cheese, which was a little bit more expensive than the block cheese. If you want to grate the cheese yourself, then it's going to cost you even less than $1 for a cup of cheese. So for the crust, 1 cup of flour, 37 cents. The gluten-free flour is a little bit more, and this quiche was gluten-free because I need to be gluten-free. So the gluten-free flour is a little bit more expensive, but it still rounds everything under $5 for the entire quiche. 1/4 cup of oil for 10 cents. Now I used regular olive oil because it was a savory dish. So you can use any kind of vegetable oil and reduce that if you want to even less than 10 cents. I put in 1 pat of salted butter. I like to put a pat of salted butter into my oil pastry because it richens the flavor of the pastry and it makes it nice and flaky and buttery and delicious. But you can omit that if you want to. 2 tablespoons of water from the tap, free. 1 pinch of salt, also 5 cents for the same reason that I made the other spices 5 cents, because it comes from a $1 container of salt, and it seems like a good round number to add together, and it's rounding up a little bit. Maybe you like a little bit more salt than I do. So, but it's probably less than 5 cents. And the total for the gluten-full quiche is $4.19, and the total for the gluten-free quiche is $4.82.
Is that you can substitute out fillings if you don't have bacon or Gruyere cheese or even onions. Any vegetable and meat combination will do. And you can make it vegetarian if you want to. You can have vegetables and cheese. You can even put tofu in if you wanted to. And it always comes out delicious somehow. So this meal, as I had mentioned before, or I hope I mentioned before, costs under $5 to make, even if you're making a gluten-free version. So try this out, check out my other videos, and like this video if it helps you out. And if you have any suggestions or tips or tricks that you'd like to share, please put them in the comments below. Thanks, everybody. Until next time.